Welcome to another episode of ShadowFiles. On today's episode, we're going to be uncovering the truth about aliens. Are aliens demons? Well, we're going to find out today. So here is the typical depiction of what a gray alien looks like. These are all the aliens that we know of as grays. In this video, we're going to just be focusing on the grays. Because this is the most common alien that we think of when it comes to aliens, right? And for the most part, we've been led to believe that these are physical beings. Skin and, they've done autopsies. Alien gray. What does that say? Watchers from Enoch. I don't know what this is. I was actually going to look for the autopsy, but this is saying something completely different. This just caught me by surprise. So maybe these gray aliens are actually the Watchers from Enoch? Is that what this is? So that would be a reference from the Bible. And the Watchers, I guess, are fallen angels, and they have been rejected from heaven, I guess, right? And they're here on Earth, watching over us. And I don't know if there's any good ones and bad ones. Most likely there are bad ones. And our ancient cultures have known about these extraterrestrials because you got to think about it. The way most of us think of them is that they are physical aliens. I was going to show you that they did autopsies. We like to think of gray aliens like this, like from Roswell, for instance. They crash landed, and they are skin and bone, most likely, right? This may or may not be true. If this is true, then that would mean that they materialized and became physical in our dimension. Because what you gotta realize is that there's the difference between aliens and extraterrestrials. Aliens can be physical, like these, and we just don't know about them, so they're alien to us, they're aliens. Extraterrestrials, however, can be interdimensional beings, and they can travel from dimensions to another dimension. From the fourth dimension, they can jump to the third dimension, but as an entity, or as a light maybe, as a spirit, they can interact with us from the fourth dimension. And that is an extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrials are interdimensional beings. So not many of us really know about that. They don't really talk about that at church. I don't even go to church, but just saying, like, you wouldn't be able to find this information from anywhere, not schools, not church, nowhere. You would have to do this research on your own. So, that being said, if they are extraterrestrials and they are more spiritual rather than physical, and they can manifest, that would mean that there are good forces, there's good ones, and there's bad spirits. So that would mean that some of them are actually bad. And if some of them are evil, then they may be trying to hurt you rather than do good. So that answers the question, if are aliens demons, because many of these demons or aliens, they kind of abduct people, and they do very weird things to them. You notice that aliens don't have a very good reputation. They abduct you and they run experiments on you. They traumatize people. So they may actually not be as good as we thought they were. But are they demons? Some of them, yes. Some of them are demons, and others may not be demons. Who knows? But we're gonna get into Aleister Crowley. He actually summoned a demon, and he drew it. He drew what the demon looked like. Let me see, Aleister. How do you spell his name? Alright, so, like I said, the aliens, many people think that they started here, even though this is actually just, when Europeans first found out about it, of what they would look like. It was through Aleister Crowley channeling spirits and demons, and, one time, this, entity appeared, and he called it Lamb. And this entity supposedly was wise, and it was supposed to teach him things. Now you gotta think about it, Crowley. It was a Satanist, a Freemason, and he was not particularly somebody who was, he was very rebellious, and he wasn't somebody who was, close to God. He believed in actually the complete opposite. He believed more in Satanism and what he thought what he made of it. And he actually also was a believer in Horus. And this whole Horus, he did Alamantra, and he also did Babylonian workings. And the Alamantra goes back to Asians and Buddhists, of them reaching that higher dimension, a higher spiritual level, most likely the fourth dimension. Whether it be for good or bad, the Buddhists mostly used it, I guess, for good. I mean, I can't say that they wanted this Age of Horus to come about. This is more Aleister Crowley and his satanic obsession. He believed in this Age of Horus, and that was basically when the world would basically start to be destroyed. And, like, this would be kind of like the end times, or maybe a reset, and so this is how, don't. Yes, anyways, basically he wanted this god, to come forth and enter our dimension, and through use of portals, and make sure that the portals would stay open so that, these entities can come through and rule over us, and the whole thing was just, satanic, he believed in this, that creature that I was talking about, he called it Lamb, but technically Lamb is actually a Tibetan word. It says here that Lamb is the name for a guru. It's also actually the way. It means the way, and it also means the path. And this is all connected to the path of, into the spiritual realm. Now, like I was saying, most people think that the gray idea came from Aleister Crowley, but it actually predates this. It actually goes back into ancient history. But so this is what he drew, what he looked like. So this is what started the whole gray movement, and the images and depictions that we see now of the grays started with Aleister Crowley. He brought it back into the mainstream. He basically started summoning and trying to reach entities and interdimensional beings, whether they be demons or good. Mostly demons, because that's his spiritual belief. He believed that Satan was good, and I don't know, it's crazy. He also did a lot of drugs, and he experimented with peyote, but we're not going to get into that right now. So, the mainstream, what we know of the Greys, actually, Aleister Crowley re-emerged this entity's the way it looks, and made it popular. It started supposedly like this, but some people argue and say that it actually is supposed to look more like this, and that it was just too scary with the big eyes. Maybe the big eyes were here. No, maybe they're here. And so he changed it and he turned it into this, so that people wouldn't be so scared. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, this is stuff that we're just not taught, and so everybody knows about the gray aliens, and nobody actually realizes where it came from. Now, actually, this goes back into ancient times. Here, as you can see, the Native Americans actually saw these entities and interdimensional beings that look like Greys may be Archons. Yes, they actually may be the Archons, and they may be able to reach tribes that maybe were more into, weird rituals, and so they access the people that spiritually are inclined to more evil type of black magic and things like that. So they won't try to talk to you if you are a Christian, if you are a believer in God, because they know that they can't deceive you. A person who is close to God and a person who is a Christian and has faith in God is not able to be, they can't harm you, they can't lie to you. So they were actually trying to communicate with these certain Native American tribes. This was in Utah. And here you go, you can see them here, and they look like space beings almost, but they do look like Greys. Look at this. They look very spiritual-like. I don't know where this is from, but a lot of ancient cultures, drew these. So Aleister Crowley basically just brought it back. Meaning that at one time, maybe these entities actually ruled over the Earth and had a lot more influence over the Earth. Maybe the Dark Ages, maybe after a reset and everything was destroyed, people get desperate, so they pray to these beings that can help them. They basically sell their soul or whatever. And so yeah, this is stuff that we just don't know about. But look at that. The Japanese also talked about these. Look at this. So it didn't start with Aleister Crowley. It started Aleister Crowley actually researched ancient cultures and ancient magic and paganism throughout the entire world. And he actually did a lot of peyote, which came from Mexico, which came from the Americas. He actually researched all sorts of things, all sorts of tribes, because you gotta think about it, there's tribes that were accessing demonic entities all over the world. Not just in America, you could connect a lot of Satanism to even African tribes, some of them, not all of them, but, there's always going to be tribes, there was always tribes that were either good or bad, and when you start trying to access these entities that, are bad, then, that's connected to Satanism, and that's connected to them deceiving you and lying to you. Even though they are from the fourth dimension, they are wiser, obviously, because we can't see the fourth dimension. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good. It means that they can lie and deceive you. And what they really want is for them to infiltrate our world. And that's what Aleister Crowley actually wanted to do. He wanted to open a portal, just like actually our ancient cultures, like the Aztecs and the cultures that sacrificed humans would open a portal. So Alistair, either he researched it, he found out, either through peyote or just extensive research. You gotta think about it. Crowley was, he was like rich. You know, he had an unlimited amount of money. And he was handed down from his parents when they died. And he was basically had a lot of money and time. And he was just an evil. He just liked being evil. He liked being known as the Beast. And when he started researching these things, you know, it wasn't for good. It was definitely a satanic type of order, and he wanted to open up a portal to let one of these things through, and he would close the portal. But sometimes, and they said that before he died, he left a portal open, and that's when the Roswell stuff started happening. So I don't know if that's true, but some people actually think that he left the portal open, and that's when these grays started coming through and materializing into physical form, and that's what happened with Roswell. And that's possible too. So they can teach us a lot. They are obviously smarter than us, and if they can teach us technology. Maybe that's where our technology started just, you know, going a lot faster, and we started getting smaller and smaller microchips, and it sped up the evolution of the computer. The personal computer was very quick. So yes, they can teach us things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that in the end they're not going to betray us. They might just be doing this to let all of them come through and reign over us and make it like a hell on Earth. You see what I'm saying? So that's actually what that's about. I was actually also researching this. Yeah, so this is the Horus, from the cult of Horus. All the Satanists on the Age of Horus. What is this? This is this is where Aleister Crowley went to school. This is like the you know, this is just like kind of like the Harry Potter school, whatever. Yeah, when he finally summoned Lamb, that alien-looking creature, when he summoned this creature, that was when he got to the United States. When World War I was going on over here in Europe, he came to the Americas and he went to New York, and that's when he saw Lamb. And that's kind of weird because the last time these types of grays were accessed through channeling and workings, that was with the Native Americans. So it's kind of possible that they are here. They are here among us in the United States because they were last accessed by the Native Americans, probably. As you see a lot of these ancient gods with the bird head and the human body. You see it a lot in Sumerian things too. But I think what we can conclude is that aliens are demons. Not all of them, but a lot of these are actually demons. And here I was looking at pictures of tall whites, and some of them actually kind of look like grays too. See, I'm not missing anything that I was going to talk about. Oh yeah. So here's the stuff about the Indians. So that Thunderbird that everybody knows about, they just think it's like a huge bird. Maybe it's like a dinosaur or some, you know, mythical bird. It's actually a shape-shifting bird, more like a humanoid bird. perhaps reptilian, that can shapeshift and would actually interact with humanity and even have kids and pretend to be human. This sounds a lot like the reptilians, the shape-shifting reptilians I was talking about. But, yeah. This goes back to the same thing. If you worship the thunder god or the thunderbird, what happens is that you're gonna be ruled by another race of aliens, and they don't have their best interest in you. You become like their food, or you end up just being their slave, and that's not good. So, yes, the Native Americans were also deceived by aliens, and not all of them, but some of them definitely were. You can see that here. What's that? Yeah. I don't know what else I was gonna say. I think we can conclude that, yeah, for the most part, the gray aliens are probably evil. A lot of the evilness was summoned by Satanists. They were looking for an evil entity, and they found one. So, yeah, that's all for now, Shadow Fam. Shadow on out. Peace. One last thing I also wanted to add in is that Aleister Crowley wanted the portal to remain open, but he was only using, channeling and meditative states, drugs, and he went all the way up to the point of human sacrifice, just like the Aztecs did. But once he realized that he could open portals and let the entities come through, that is when the whole interest came from the government and governments and secret governments our governments that we are actually satanic, started wanting to know more about Aleister Crowley, and they actually went so far as to create CERN, which is meant to keep a whole portal maintained and open to let entities come through. So I just wanted to add that in. Yeah, CERN is actually connected to, letting these demonic entities through. Yep, that's all for now, Shadow Fam. Shadow, we're out. Peace.